Welcome to the Global Goals Studio. I'm Chika Odua here with Richard Wolff. We're talking about racial justice with guest Kerry Kennedy, president of Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights, a nonprofit advocacy organization, Rashad Robinson, president of Color of Change, an online racial justice group, and Alicia Garza, the principal at Black Futures Lab, also co-founder of the Black Lives Matter Global Network. We have a lot of ground to cover, so let's get started. A movement that began on America's streets has impacted the entire world. The Black Lives Matter protests have triggered a global movement to reassess the legacy of colonialism, white supremacy, and the challenges of racial justice. Ms. Garza, as you know, people of color in the U.S., especially African Americans, have been protesting to be treated as human beings for centuries. But you have said that this moment is different. How exactly is this particular moment different? Why and how?
I think the first thing that is unique about this moment is that we're seeing the Black Lives Matter movement transcend race, gender, and other demographics. And that is something that's unique from our founding in 2013, where I think you mainly saw Black folks and people of color who were lifting up this banner. The other thing I think is unique about this moment is that, for the first time, not in history, but for the first time in a decade, we are seeing a president who is mobilizing white supremacist and white nationalist forces in response to this global movement that is calling for the sanctity and dignity of Black lives. And so in this moment, I think that creates a completely different dynamic, where literally the political platform of this president at this time is law and order. And what he is promising is that he will restore order to cities across the country who have erupted in protests. And he is telling his supporters that Black Lives Matter is going to show up at their houses and take things from them that we don't deserve. It's a classic racist narrative, but it's a unique narrative that's being used against Black Lives Matter, one that hasn't been used in the last decade. It's unique to this administration, and I think unique to this political moment.
Mr. Robinson, you said there's a force multiplier at play here with these protests. What do you mean by that?
What I mean is that racial justice is a force multiplier. During the height of the COVID pandemic, right, the best that a lot of people who fight for justice thought we could do was clap outside of our windows and cheer for essential workers, or lift up investigative journalism about the failures of the administration and rant on social media. It took racial justice to actually get people into the streets. And so lots of times we talk about racial justice as charity, the thing we should do because it's the right thing. Or we say, or we have to get involved in racial justice because we want to do the right thing, or we don't want to upset folks of color. But this is not just about fighting racism as we think about what is it going to take to bring our country back. It is about racial justice actually as a driver and participation to get people into streets, to get people involved, to get people activated about what the future is. And so I talk about racial justice as a force multiplier because in many ways it has been the thing that's allowed us to build sort of a multiracial movement capable of actually driving participation in the election and beyond.
It's very important indeed. Thank you so much. We'll be back for a quick break, and you're watching Global Goals Studio.
What's a citizen? It's believing in something and doing something about it, being responsible, and following through on promises. We're a company of 135,000 citizens. And we have a plan to work toward a greater good, a better future to share, one that will move us all forward. Citizen Verizon, our plan for economic, environmental, and social advancement.